Alright, so check it. We all know energy never dies, it's gonna be transmuted, right? I explained to y'all how we are energy, and it comes from our celestial bodies, which are the stars, which doubles as our spirits. I told you about the war in heaven, and how the way the Elohim and the 7 reptilian planet ships took over. So I'm about to make a few videos showing you how the way these are the same people, and the same stories that possesses the original spirits of these 7 guys of the 7 planet ships. So in order to maintain their frequency, they inbreed. This is why incest exists. This is why people get so confused, because they could be brother, sister, mother, and father. So I'm about to give you a rundown of the underworld again. Then I'm going to tell you who the incestuous twins are. And one of them is currently the Antichrist. Alright, so we have one, the All-Father, the real God. And then we have man, the image of God, and the Pleiades and the Greys, before any other creations. So God El, which is a Grey, and his creations, which would be the Elohim, started a war in heaven because they started experimenting on man. So one of his creations was Neptune, which is a dragon. And eventually Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and Mercury was born. All planets is on different frequencies until you reach the gates of heaven, which is Mercury. So this is the Tower of Babel. Also, Jacob's ladder, because God El is Jacob and Yaqub. And if you look to the right side, it's the frequencies upside down, because it's the underworld hierarchy. Neptune and Uranus, which are United Nations, the UN. And then there's the belt of stars. Then there's the other planets. This is why it's the covens of Azazel, the reason why they're split. So inside the covens, Jupiter and Saturn want ascension inside the United Nations, while Venus and Mercury want ascension inside of heaven. This is why Venus and Jupiter had a conjunction, because they're trying to create another planet, which is another frequency that'll disrupt the whole universe. This is why they say Archangel Michael will come and save the day, because he's also the god of Mars, the middleman of the covens of Azazel. So he has to stop it in this dimension, because he will literally be the only one strong enough to do it. Because y'all can see the creation right here again. God El created Neptune, then Neptune created Mars. These beings were born with spirits and the same strengths of the image of man, but they're full-blown magical dragons. This is why you hear Amen-Ra, which is Neptune and Mars, is the strongest guys in existence in the underworld. So since Mars is war and chaos, it then created Uranus, which is salt water, then married with Neptune, creating the United Nations, which is Adam and Eve. Of course, they had their own set of stars. But back to Mars, he then created Shu, which is air, and Teflon, which is moisture. And they mix with Earth, which is Jeb, Lahumu, and Kenzar. So when you hear people say we're on planet Kai, it's short for Kenzar. Look it up. Also mixed with Sky, which is Nut, Lamu, and Ansar. Everything comes as twins. But then they created Saturn and Nephthys. They then created Wepawet, the Opener of Ways, and Anubis, the god to the underworld. But the war started here. So Saturn, which is Satan, started mixing with Earth and Sky again, in order to trap our spirits, because things became physical. So when things became physical, that's when they started making vessels to make it hard for the distinguish between men and reptilian. This is why every planet, after they started mixing with Earth and the sky, started becoming more and more man-like. So Saturn mixed with Earth, which created Jupiter. Then Saturn mixed with the sky, which created Venus. So these are twin planets. Then as y'all can see, Jupiter and Venus created Mercury. So what happened was the offspring of the UN, Mercury, Wepawet, and Anubis all combined and created us. So I'm sure y'all heard the 4 horsemen before. And it starts with Saturn, which is Apostle Paul, and Set, Satan. Also, he is Solomon. Then we have Nephthys, which is death, and where we get the Nephilim from. Then we got Jupiter, which is St. Peter, Enlil, Osiris, Baal, Zeus, Nimrod, and he is George. And we have Venus, which represents birth, which is Mary Magdalene, Inanna, Isis, Lilith, and she is Elizabeth, which created Mercury, which is Jesus, Nana, Horus, and Lucifer. So now you can see why the incest exists and how everyone ended up mating, creating us in order to religion you. So I gotta start off with the twins. As I said, these people go by many names, which is the gods of Jupiter and Venus. So let's start off with the queen. As y'all can see, King George was before her, and I believe they do this between solar cycles, because when the king reigns, all peace leaves, because they have to lower the vibration of the planet so he don't wake up from the sun. So we have Inanna and Ishtar, says the queen of heaven, goddess of love, war, and fertility, planet Venus. And if you ever wonder where Easter comes from, it comes from her name, because she produced the egg the vessels were in. This is why she's always been the queen. They say Inanna was a daughter of gods and an Enki. And the Saturn, Enki is Neptune, the first creation of the underworld. She's connected to the tree of life and resurrection stories. Ishtar has the ability to both create life and take it away. Two key figures of the origin of Christmas are Nimrod, a great-grandson of Noah. Noah is the god of Mars, the middleman, and his mother and wife, also known as Ishtar and Isis. Nimrod, known in Egypt as Osiris, that is the god of Jupiter. Her brother was the founder of the first world empire at Babel, later known as Babylon, which is right here in the United States of America. Then we have Isis, the daughter of Earth and the sky, which is sisters to the deities Osiris, which is Jupiter, Seth, which is Saturn, and Nethys, which is death. So again, Venus is Isis, and she represents birth. Like I said, these are the four horsemen. Then we have Mary Magdalene. Why do you think she was a witness to this? And also the first person to see him resurrected. It's because she created an egg that he was resurrected in. I don't know if y'all ever seen this out here outside the Vatican, but it appears to be a pine cone, right? It's actually a keys. It represents the egg and what they use to send us down here. This is why you find tablets of different beings walking around using them, basically collecting souls and spirits. I almost forgot to mention her name. She has L in it to announce that she's a god. Also Alexandra, because she's a descendant of Alexander, which is the god of Mars. And Mary, because she's Mary Magdalene, the Virgin Mary, because she produced the eggs, as in she didn't conceive like we do. So when you always see that random question, did the chicken come first or the egg came first. Everything else is manifested until they took that power away by cutting off her energy. Now the King Charles, which is the god of Jupiter. Now the reason they call him Charles is because you're saying L at the end, and that's announcing that he's a god. And obviously his last name, it clearly says George, as in King George. So he's repeating himself, and it's obvious. Alright, so we have Baal. It says it's a lesser key of Solomon. Solomon is Satan, which is Saturn. Also note, it said he's the first spirit mentioned. He is described as a king with the power to make men invisible, ruling over 66 legions of demons. So I want y'all to sit and think about this. Who wrote Baal? And what is it? Is it not a legion, or is it a religion? I'm trying to tell y'all, they created the Baal. It clearly says it, and it's a religion because they religion you from God, the true God, that is. So Baal is the first king of hell with estates to the east, and now he's being sent west. And again, 66 legions, and one of the 7 princes of hell, which is the 7 gods. There's literally 2 worlds right here, and we can't see it. But we would know through people racist voices and racist acts. So just know, almost everyone been brainwashed, because racism only exists because the fallen are here, and we belong in heaven. So this means this God, the god of Jupiter, is actually the Antichrist. So Jupiter is also Osiris, the Lord of the Dead and Rebirth. As y'all can see, the parents is listed as Earth in the sky, and also brother and husband to Isis, which is Venus, brother to Set, which is Saturn, which is also the father, Nethys, which is death, and Horus, which is Mercury. And I'm sure you can see how the way everything get all mixed up because they all are related and they make creations together. Also know they said Osiris was the ruler of Egypt and taught agriculture and gave laws and civilization to humans before he became the master of the underworld. He's also Enlil, the god of wind, air, earth, and storms. As y'all can see, the parents is An, which is Saturn, and Kai, which is earth. Enlil plays a vital role in summer creation. He separates An, which is heaven, and Kai, which is earth. Now mind yourself, they live in a reverse world than ours. Basically, they're talking about the black hole we're in, the middle ground. As y'all can see, also in the myth, Enlil eventually made it with his mother Kai and created the plant and animal life on earth. They got a way they created humans by killing Allah God, which is the fallen, trapped in the vessels they created, and using our blood to create the humans. I mean, NASA knows about Enlil. They literally named the Emerald Spiral after it. He is also Zeus, the god of sky, lightning, thunder, and the law and order, from the planet Jupiter. He is also Nimrod. He started the Tower of Babel. That's what we're currently in now. The only reason Peter recognized Jesus was his Messiah is because he is his father. Peter is Jupiter, Jesus is Mercury. So long story short, after Saturn was created from Earth, who y'all would call Satan, he came up with a plan to recreate the image of man by creating vessels that is compatible for reptile and man in order for us to consent to breaking our standing over them. This is why everyone assumes the devil is just Satan, but really it's different legions of the evil, meaning negative frequency entities. They want to re-legion you. This is why the war in heaven started. But anyways, y'all be gods. Peace.